and welcome to Table Ready. My name is Noah, and this is the Critical Review, where I review all the episodes of Critical Role Campaign 3 and give it ratings. And each one of these ratings are just my personal opinion and should be taken with the same amount of serious as the spell Disguise Undead. Yeah, that's a throwback. So, grab your milk and your whiskey, and let's get into Campaign 3, Episode 2. So, last episode I made a couple of critical mistakes with pronunciation and calling Ashton a water genasi instead of Earth, which just makes way more sense. But we'll try to do better this week. We open up this episode on the cast in their Halloween costumes, and funny enough, they're all dressed up as each other, as other members of the cast. I gotta give the visual win to Laura Bailey, who literally made my wife laugh out loud, and I like it when my wife laughs, so you get the 8 out of 10. The game begins with the party rolling for initiative against the Lord Eric Estros, a massive orc, even though he's probably beyond his prime. Combat starts with Orem barrel rolling to the front of the party and readying an attack action, reluctantly willing to attack the Lord Estros, but really looking to reason with him if he can. Loudna has different plans. She casts Hex and then fires off an Eldritch Blast, bringing it back with some cool flavor to bring in that Hex damage. This is great character display in combat, and I love it when combat isn't a break from roleplay, but more an opportunity to roleplay during combat. So, 8 out of 10 to you guys too. The combat starts off, sheesh, very bad, with many of the party members missing and Lord Estros showing that he's formidable. Dorian goes down and the party keeps fighting and eventually does get him to say uncle. He waves the party off, saying that he's had enough, and overall, I think the combat was great and it did what it was supposed to do. 8 out of 10. Taliesin does end the combat with a rule-breaking reckless ranged attack against Bertrand Bell, throwing a dagger into his thigh to let him know, I saw you basically do nothing to help us. And as a longtime barbarian, I gotta give you a 2 out of 10 for that, man. But for the moment, it was pretty hilarious and I enjoyed it, so the moment gets a 6 out of 10. The group earns Estros' respect and the ability to work for him on a short-term basis and prove themselves. Given the ability to work for Estros, some of the party members wonder whether or not it's a good idea, if they're aligning themselves with someone who's good or someone who's evil. Liam rolls a natural 20 and gets his first whisper in 2 years. And as far as we can tell, it seems like it only led him to feel more positively about Estros, even though we don't know what was actually whispered to Liam. Estros goes on to explain a little bit about himself to the party, letting them know that he was once an adventurer / mercenary, but because of the cane, I'm gonna guess something's happened to his knee. He goes on to tell the party about the Ivory Syndicate, an organization inside of Dressar, and then lets the party know that he is going to pay them both in money and in clout in order to do some tasks for him. Overall, great intro to the party's first quest, and honestly, the introduction of this new NPC, I will take a smart, enigmatic orc that's the leader of some shady organization any day. 7 out of 10, Matt. Now to the quest. Estros' estate is responsible for moving supplies to the Dial Hall, a private school known for helping people kind of make their way in the world and advance when maybe they may not have those opportunities in the past. Some of the stores that are run by employees of the Lord are losing materials, and some theft is going on. He hires the party to investigate and stop the thefts. He starts off by giving them a little bit of loot for accepting the job. Then he promises them some fat loot if they're able to come to a conclusion in this job. And then he offers them even fatter loot if he can bring those responsible for the thefts to justice. He also offers them as a reward an inn to continue working with him and potentially make some connections necessary to get the information that they seek, to meet the people that they want to find, and it's a pretty great quest. I'd give it a 9 out of 10. It's a clear directive that leaves the party an openness to solve that problem however they please, while also giving them a direct, reward that they know what to expect when they complete it. Yeah, 9 out of 10. The party heads across the Fade Walk, which is the only substantial, sturdy, fixed bridge connecting any of these spires to one another. This one connects the core spire to the lantern spire. After crossing the Fade Walk, the party heads to the Weary Way Tavern for food, drink, and some seriously needed discussion. The party takes up big beef with Bertrand for basically running them into a fight blind, not knowing what was going to happen, and they do seem a bit at odds with him. I honestly like that there's a bit of friction in the beginning. It's my belief that the party's bonds really happen over time, adventure, and overcoming obstacles, and can't just happen in a single episode. Although I think most of the cast agree, I don't know if everyone does. 7 out of 10. During the episode, Sam uses freshly cut grass on multiple occasions to try to really push for people's backstory, to get them to share honestly about who they are, what their goals are, and what they're trying to do with the party. Not everybody's so down though. Most of them really kind of playing it close to the chest. I can really respect the self-restraint that comes with that, and I also can really respect Sam wanting everyone to connect with the characters. I'm gonna say that's a wash. It's a 6 out of 10 for both. I really don't know. Eventually, the party does segue away from ridiculing, mainly because something more interesting comes up. Loudna's dead rat. I'm not kidding, her dead rat. Yes, Marisha wrote into her character that she has a dead rat friend, I guess, that she puppets around and talks for and to in order to keep herself sane. And wait, the best is yet to come. Its name is Pate de Rolo. This is the first big name drop that we've had from Campaign 1, and it really kind of draws out some backstory conversations between Loudna, Orym, and Bertrand Bell. They're all from Taldore, and it seems as though Loudna doesn't know much about her background. Orym seems to be more informed and kind of gets her up to speed on what the happenings were in Taldore. I would give this backstory conversation an 8 out of 10, but let's keep talking about Loudna. Loudna lets you know that she left before Percival and his sister came back to power in Whitestone. She was there and left during the reign of the Briarwoods, which is dope. Now, this brings up some really cool thoughts about who she might be, what her patron may be, and if there's some undead stuff going on with the Briarwoods in her backstory. Maybe the Briarwoods have family that we don't know about. I'm here for it. You got me hooked. I'm all in, Marisha. You got me. 9 out of 10. Eventually, the party heads to this textile shop that's in question, where the goods seem to be disappearing from. Upon entering the textile shop, Imogen gives a well-crafted lie about basically their landlord trying to start up a business here in town and was looking for some sourcing of materials. She's able to strike up conversation with what appears to be the head employee of the establishment, while Orym and Freshly Cut Grass search around. While searching around, Freshly Cut Grass and Imogen both use basically detect thoughts to try to read the room. Not much information is given to them by the thoughts of the employees, and Sam even goes on to say,
"Why don't they constantly think about their crimes?"
Ashton helps the rest of the party sneak around the back into an alleyway using Pass Without a Trace. I know, a barbarian with Pass Without a Trace, but it does come from his racial ability, so it's kind of cool. If Talison's good at anything, it's absolutely playing mechanically complex characters, and I have a big feeling that Ashton is going to be another one. The party doesn't find any evidence of mass thievery, but they do find a residue from a highly rare, highly regulated material that used to be used to hold up flying cities called broomstone. This is suspicious. Here's a theory. Lord Estros has already given the party 50 gold pieces each just for taking on the mission. If they are successful to the greatest degree, he's promised them another 350 gold pieces, and I think that's on top of the original 50. That means that he has promised the party 3,200 gold pieces to find missing supplies and those responsible for them from a school. Methinks there's more to this. With the broomstone, rare, valuable material that happens to be in broken open crates, yeah, I would say that he's protecting more than the school supplies, and he's in the business of smuggling some rare, highly regulated materials. That's right, friends. Sometimes the loot says more than the quest. Let me take this thing off. Ugh. In order to not look too suspicious to the employees of this establishment, the party leaves and begins planning. Now, planning is a necessary boredom, and sometimes can reveal some really cool things. This time, not so much, and it's not anybody's fault. Planning's necessary. I'm still gonna give it a 5 out of 10. They come up with a plan to separate into 2 euphemistically named teams, one at the back door and one fully in the front. There, they wait for the employees to leave. Orm gets turned invisible and he sneaks into the store through the front door when the Dragonborn leaves. He's able to wait out and hide until the last employee, Dennis, leaves, but Dennis turns out all the lights, leaving our dark, visionless halfling completely in darkness by himself. During this time, our backdoor crew starts getting antsy and looking for ways to communicate with Orm. Bertrand and Imogen have already left to go follow Dennis. These actions leave the party split in 3 ways. Now, I don't know how you guys feel about splitting the party, but I actually think it's really cool and leads to some really cool gameplay opportunities. So 8 out of 10 all day for me. I'm excited to see where this goes. So that basically does it for the recap. Let's touch on some key moments that I thought were fun to mention and rate. Ashton saying,
Thank you. How many of you have actually crimed before?
Gold. 7.5 out of 10. In a side conversation with Travis, Taliesin also mentions that he has 4 different rages. I'm gonna give him a 4 out of 10 on this. Why? Because darn it, Taliesin, I thought my next character was going to be a rogue. Darn you, homebrew. Fern hilariously and adorably failing her stealth, sleight of hand, and deception checks is amazing. I love that she's a druid who's leaning into these things that she's not necessarily that good at and just keeps going for it. Solid 7 out of 10, maybe even an 8 out of 10. You know what is an absolute 8 out of 10? When they return to Estros and she says, "We're here to kill you." Perfect comedic gold. Imogen attempts to open up her awareness to allow the thoughts of others to go into her mind. This doesn't work. She fails her save, and this time she's still able to hear the surface level thoughts of others, but she has disadvantage on concentration checks for the rest of the day. I'm not sure if this is how it went on episode 1. I don't think it did. Let me know if I'm wrong in the comments below, but for now, I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 10 just because I'm not understanding something that's probably pretty simple. Lastly, let's talk freshly cut grass. He is so cool. I love that he has all these attachments from his fallen comrades that are really reflavored magic items. The newest one that we saw was an ocular piece that allows him to cast Identify without using a spell slot. That is dope. That's really thematic, super cool, 7 out of 10. Last but definitely not least is when Sam says,
This back door has no crack.
Hilarious. I was dying, straight up dead. And this is at like 2 a.m. here. So I was ready to fall asleep and then got woken up just from the laughter and excitement that I got from that one line. So good, 10 out of 10. Perfect. You can get a 10 out of 10 too by making a mage hand out of the like button, going on over to subscribe, and then heading down to the comments section. Because all of these ratings really mean nothing if not to start a conversation with critters. Give me your ratings. What did you like more? What did you like less? And what did I miss? I want to hear your theories. I want to hear it all. So head on down to the comments section and don't forget to stay positive. Because of all the ways you can be positive, it's the most positive.